Good afternoon, everybody. Good evening now, I suppose, to all of you East Coasters like myself. My name is Zachary Kruger, and you are on episode 19 of Roster Locked, a best ball show here on the RotoViz YouTube channel. If you're checking this out for the first time and you've not subscribed yet, be sure to go do that before you listen to anything my guest and I have to say tonight. We're going to be getting into a couple things related to preseason, maybe some players who my guest in particular, if you can already see here, you know who we're going to be talking about just based on the man sitting in the corner here, who he likes coming up. And we're going to draft the team as well and try to win ourselves some money because, let's face it, we could all be a little bit richer than we are today. So without further ado, he is one of my favorite followers on Twitter. His content is absolutely killer over on Pro Football Focus. You can find him at Hartitz on Twitter. It is none other than Ian Hartitz at Pro Football Focus. Ian, how's it going? We are closing in on this thing.
Oh, it's going great, man. Chris Herndon's relevant again. You know, I'm going to California tomorrow. The NFL season's about to start. We got a lot of positives going on in the Hartitz family at the moment. And now we get to go win $1 million too. So great day to be great, man.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. I was going to recap real quickly here. Today was basically, I guess, the big cut day in the NFL. A lot has happened, and I think all of the Ian Hartitz favorites have survived, correct? Auden Tate, obviously, you have him listed there. Free Auden Tate. He doesn't necessarily need to be banished to Cincinnati. We'd like to see him get elsewhere. I think Cordarrelle Patterson is still on the Falcons, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, sir.
And then,
yes, sir.
like you just mentioned, the big one, Chris Herndon traded to Minnesota, I believe, for picks. It happened while I was at work. I didn't see the exact details of it, but is that correct? Minnesota for picks, right?
Yeah, I mean, you got to think that Herndon was probably valued at around, a top 10 pick level in that exchange. Yeah. So it took but it was like 4th and 6. It was funny, man. I was recording live today with my buddy Dwayne McFarland.
Okay.
And like I saw the news and I was so hyped. And then once I calmed down, I was just like, yeah, we're probably not going to take either of these guys for fantasy purposes, but you could imagine. I'll take it, man. Exactly. That's what round 18 is for, right? But
that's right.
The last thing we need is for Duke Johnson to find his way onto a team, and I'll truly be happy. It's almost good we're doing this Underdog draft through your account because my username on Underdog is free Duke Johnson. So having free Duke Johnson and free Auden Tate from the same guy, that's just a little bit too much for some of these people.
Yeah, I mean, hey, man, you got your guys who you like and you advocate for them any way possible, even if it's throwing them in your name here on the show or in your Underdog account. You definitely pump up your guys a little bit. Before we get into the draft, we will here in just a couple of minutes. Like I said, today was pretty much the big cut day down in the NFL. A couple things have taken place that are maybe unexpected, maybe a lot of things that are expected. Cam Newton was obviously, I think, the big one of the day. Anything in particular that is standing out to you that took place today that now you're going to be considering in the final week and a half we have or so of draft season?
Sorry, anything new I'm looking for, or just from the preseason you're saying?
I was just asking, as we get ready this season, there's only about a week and a half left. Anything that stood out to you based on today's unfoldings that you're kind of being mindful of as we had in our last few days of drafting?
Yeah, my brain's been a little bit of a pretzel today. There's been about 500. The one annoying thing about cut day, man, like it's cool having the player movement, but usually, Schefter and those guys are tweeting, I don't know, maybe 5 things a day that are really worth looking at. And the amount of players are I don't even know that have gotten cut today. It's like, right. I know you guys want your engagement, but at some point, people, can we chill? I love the Lions. I love the Lions' quest to apparently not have a kicker. They're taking my fantasy ideology and applying it to real football, which I love. Mac Jones getting a nod over Cam Newton. Obviously, that helps everyone in the offense just realize that Mac Jones, doesn't really fit the prototype of what we've seen from past successful, rookie fantasy QBs. The only guy to really buck the trend and be a fantasy QB1 that didn't rush for at least 25 yards per game in college was Justin Herbert last year. We found out he was more athletic than he kind of showed at Oregon. And Mac Jones, he did put better numbers up than that, picture of him with a cigar would kind of indicate. So I'm not saying I could obviously be wrong here, but the dude rushed for 42 yards in 30 college games. I know sacks count against your rushing yards in college. I think Mac Jones will be a good distributor, but he's still he's not Tom Brady yet, people. We get not right. Tom Brady ever. I did not say yet. That was a mistake. I'll never be Tom Brady. I'm not sure this is going to be a top 16 scoring offense still, but Damon Harris getting his goal line rush attempts, will probably be a little more pass happy. I think, our PFF projections, we went from a 56% pass rate to around 60. So it helps everyone involved because as we see from Cam, Lamar, Josh Allen before he kind of took over. Like when you have a quarterback that's like just so reliant on their legs, sometimes, the checkdowns become scrambles. And when you're inside the 5-yard line, you got another potential party to go score. Michael Thomas landed on the pup. I haven't been drafting him where he's been going anyway. I just don't really trust or have a good feel on that situation as a whole. And I think that's about it. Yeah, the Mac Jones news was obviously the big one this morning. That's always an interesting way to wake up. Last thing I would say, Latavius Murray stayed on the Saints roster. I know people have really been getting, just getting their beat going on Tony Jones, Tojo, as we're calling him, and everything in the late rounds. If anything, like I'm out on Latavius and Tojo now. Like, we shouldn't just expect because Tojo won the backup job that if Kamara gets hurt, he's going to go out there and have that 80% snap workhorse role that Latavius Murray had. If anything, it'll probably just be an annoying split committee in a Saints offense that might be good. Like there's a lot of assumptions going on. I don't want the Saints number 2 or number 3 running back right now.
Yeah. I was pretty confident, I think, early in the season, drafting Latavius Murray as kind of that backup, thinking that he was in large going to be safe. But now I would say these last 2 or 3 weeks, I've really just kind of been wondering if I'm just going to be burning all those shares because I'm just not sure that he's going to walk into any kind of role that I may have perceived early on when I was taking him, thinking that if something happened to Kamara, he's going to go down. Now, there's a little bit of a fly in the ointment in the name of Tony Jones, who doesn't even have that impressive of a profile overall. So I'm kind of surprised that he's made it even as far as he has as the 3rd running back on the Saints, and supposedly threatening Murray was a little nerve-wracking. So seeing him hang around was good. One player who I'm excited about, this wasn't quite cut down day news, but it's close enough. I am hoping that we can see a little bit of Tyson Williams do something decent for the Ravens. I'm not sure where you're at on him. I know he's not one of the sexiest names either. He's not even the sexiest profile. Went to 3 different colleges in 5 years and finally made his way onto the Ravens and looks to be their running back too. I am hoping that he can kind of be the even more discount version of Gus Edwards that we thought Gus Edwards was when we were taking him in the 9th round, now knowing that we can get Tyson Williams and pretty close to the final 3 rounds of the draft, maybe even still the last round of the draft. Perhaps we find out tonight. But I'm looking forward to him and just seeing what another running back can do in this Ravens offense, particularly a guy who's a bit more of a fun story than most of these guys who, have the high draft capital, or they've been doing it for a few years now. He's a complete shot out of left field I'd like to see hit in the coming weeks. So I'm looking forward to that. We're going to be doing a Best Ball Mania 2 draft tonight. Ian, how many of these have you done so far? Have you gotten a lot in, or?
The Mania specifically, I'm looking right now. How many do we got?
Oh, if you're looking, maybe drop us your highest owned player. I don't have too many people.
I got 32 done total so far.
Okay, yeah, that's not bad. That's more than I have here. Most of these ones I actually do just with the guests who I have on the show here. So you got some good names we're competing against here, try to find our shot at $1 million. But I think we're going to get – who's your highest owned player in the tournament right now, or who's your couple highest owned players? Do you have that in front of you?
Oh, yeah, it's so perfect, too. No one's going to even be surprised. Top 5.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle, Tyler Boyd, Saquon Barkley, and Deontay Johnson. I can follow those dudes daily. There we go.
There you go. No, those are all guys. So I think – I've had trouble coming around on Saquon, and I kind of want to, but then I also kind of am concerned, not just about the injury, but just concerned about the offense as a whole. It wasn't obviously an offense that was as great last season as we could kind of hoped it would be. I think one of the more impressive things, which is also one of the more devastating things, was that Daniel Jones managed to throw just 11 touchdowns in a complete season. I thought that was kind of, again, kind of devastating.
Dak beat him.
He did. Dak managed to beat him, and he had about a third of the games under his belt. So hoping for a Giants bounce back here. Maybe I'll still come around Saquon these next couple of weeks. But I know my most owned players, number 1, I think, is Darrington Evans. I consider myself a close relative to Darrington Evans now that I've got 30%.
Third highest running back.
Okay. Yep. Yeah. I think that he has a chance to be a top player in fantasy land if a couple things break right. The unfortunately part of that would be no more Derrick Henry, but he's someone who I like his profile coming out of college. I like his speed. I think he has an ability to bring a little bit of a 3-down workload to the Titans if it ever happened, and I think he has some pass catching upside, which we know Derrick Henry probably does not have that at this point in time in his career. So Darrington Evans is one of my highest owned guys. We are going to be picking out of the 106. This is a RotoViz broadcast. You know that we are not allowed to draft a running back for first at least 8 to 10 rounds per Sean Siegel's request. So when you're sitting at this spot in the draft, now we might be able to make an exception for you, Ian. We'll do what we have to do now, and I'll check back later to make sure Sean's cool with it. But where are you looking to draft? Who are you looking to draft, I guess, at this point in the draft where we're kind of sitting in the middle of the road with the first round?
I want one of those big 5 running backs. So if one of them fall, I will probably be saying, let's go for it.
Okay.
If not, I would go, I think, I lean Kelsey as the first non-running back off the board if he happens to get sniped early. I say take one of the big 5 running backs or Kelsey at this spot. Him and Adams is so close though, man. I mean, if you wanted to overrule there, I certainly won't hate you.
So the rule here is I get to draft whenever I want to by myself. So I can draft my guys when I want to. The rule here is that I do my best to draft a team with my guest, and I'll do some marginal input, but I like to try to go through my guys or who my guests like.
1-2.
Yeah, right, I mean that's probably a RotoViz guy, if we're being honest. So good for them. But you said big 5 running back. Just seeing who we have here, we're on the 3rd overall pick. How do you prioritize these top 3 guys?
I have Kamara as my RB3. Any sort of concerns earlier in the offseason and moving on from Breeze. I had him at like RB7 or 8, and I was getting all these, dumb Twitter arguments with people calling me idiots. And I was like, damn. Same thing with Cam Akers over Jonathan Taylor, man. Like, I don't want to say I got bailed out because I would stick to those, opinions if we were going to the season and everything. But like the Akers and then having the once Michael Thomas got hurt, I was just like, who else are they going to throw the ball to? Like Kamara is going to get his targets regardless of who is under center. And now to go with Jameis, man, that was always the best case for him. So for me, Kamara's 3. I did bump Zeke ahead of Derrick Henry recently.
Now,
are we up?
Yeah, Zeke is gone. We got 17 seconds. Henry? Okay, so I am not drafting Henry early. So I'll let you make your case for him real quick here, just because this is not this is already unique to my build. So let's hear your case for Derrick Henry here at the 106 RB5 off the board. Sorry to cut you off. I just want to make sure we got our pick in there. But go ahead. The floor is yours.
I'm not used to seeing Derrick Henry at 106, man. Usually he's going earlier. And I was just about to say, like, I'd move Zeke ahead of Derrick Henry just because of the pass down stuff. With that said, I mean, I always come back to this. Like, if the worst thing you can say about a player is, like, he'll probably get hurt, then really, like, reevaluate why you're fading this guy. I get Henry's coming off 400 touches. He was coming off 400 touches in 2019. And you can say, oh, but what about, him having all these miles on his legs now? Ezekiel Elliott, if we want to go down that road and just say, hey, what are total college and NFL touches? Zeke has like almost 500 more career touches than Derrick Henry. And Derrick Henry is way closer to guys like Christian McCaffrey and, like even Dalvin Cook that I think a lot of people would care to admit. So for me, I mean, I wish Henry caught more passes too. It's not illegal for them to change their mind on that. New offensive coordinator. I kind of doubt it, but we'll see what happens. So Henry for me just remains in that big 5 because there's those touches. Was it historically like one target's usually worth about 2.7 carries? When Henry's getting like 350 of them, he makes up that gap pretty quick. It seems like so.
Yeah, I mean, he certainly is, still a force to be reckoned with on the field. Frustratingly benched for the majority of his career to start. I think like the first season or two, he did not see nearly the usage that we hoped he would, which could benefit him in the long run. Just as kind of, obviously you're never going to get any younger, but not having as many mileage as someone like Zeke does at this spot in his career, he may not be, quite done yet. Hopefully not. I don't think anyone's talking about being done, but I'm not as concerned about him coming off 400 touches. We are up again, Ian. Where are you looking based on this pick here? We got 22 seconds.
Okay. I want who just went? Metcalf just went. Okay, I want Justin Jefferson because I think he's the best wide receiver left on the board, with all due respect to my guy, AJB. And also, man, we could make the argument that, losing Irv Smith, even bringing a true alpha talent like Chris Herndon into that offense. I mean, we could even see them, really just embrace that passing game even more so around Jefferson and Thielen. So it was funny. Last year, I believe the 2 most condensed passing game in terms of just combined target share between the wide receiver 1 and wide receiver 2, Lockett and Metcalf, and then Jefferson and Thielen. So, it's a run-first offense, but when the quarterbacks are, 1, good, which both applies to both Cousins and Russ, even if it applies more so to Russ, and 2, just willing to, again, focus so much their target share to 2 guys, like that's when I'm more okay going down that route. So, man, Jefferson, like, it's starting, everyone, including myself, like really hyped up Jamar Chase. And I'm not worried about these early drops.
Yeah, yeah.
It is one of those things, though, where, watching him really both him and Jefferson were so good in that offense, but the rationale was usually like Chase was the one there, and look how good Jefferson, look how good Chase is going to be.
Mm-hmm.
It's if Chase finds a way to bust, which again I don't think happens. I think he'll have a long, great NFL career. Like it'll make us go back and ask a lot of questions about how we evaluated those players.
Yeah, definitely. I'm not one to worry about the drops either. I actually did an article on Pro Football Focus. I'm sorry, you're Pro Football Focus. I'm for 4for4. It's another site I write for. And I did an article over at 4for4, a profile on Deontay Johnson. And one of the arguments around Deontay Johnson has always kind of been the silly one of like, oh, he was like one of the tops in the leagues in drops. But Deontay Johnson was also very close. I had mentioned he had two really weird games where he had two particular games where he left due to injury. But it was not a long-term injury. He came back the next week each time, I believe. And if you had removed those two games from his points per game total, he would have actually been the wide receiver 12 in points per game. And this is half PPR, I wrote the article from. And like you said, I'm not worried about drops either with Jamar Chase. I think my concern with rookie drops in this case could be a case of maybe we don't see as much early season production if the coaches decide to ease him into the season rather than throw him into the fire right away. This would obviously be great for an Auden-Tate guy like yourself, that maybe that early on we see Auden-Tate get a little bit more work than we do Jamar Chase. But in the grand scheme of things, usually if players are getting drops, it's probably because they're actually also getting a lot of targets and scoring some fantasy points. So it's not that bad. Again, that was the article I had over at 4for4. We are up again. Where are we targeting here? Do you need me to scroll down at all, or do we got our guy?
Nah, we're good. I just got sniped on Keenan, though. That was a good pick. I don't know why he's fallen as much as he is. I want Terry McLaurin.
Terry over CD. I'm a CD Lamb guy. I do love getting him. I'm sure you're a CD Lamb guy as well.
I've had him ranked wide receiver 12 the almost entire offseason. Now I've had Amari Cooper ranked wide receiver 11 almost the entire offseason. At the end of the day, like if you move CD Lamb up over the past month, you're doing it because of training camp highlights. And again, I have them one spot apart. You're getting a great wide receiver either way. And it was good to see CD getting like outside reps with the first team offense. We know he was strictly in the slot last year. Dynasty, knock yourself out. Like it's, in my opinion, Dynasty, it's like Jefferson, AJB, and CD are my top three receivers there, just really trying to go all out with the youngins. But, for this year, like our most relevant sample with all three receivers and Dak Prescott last year told us that Cooper is the number one pass game option. Like a decent margin, man. Yeah. So it could be more condensed. But with that said, I just found myself with a lot more Cooper than CD. That was an okay spot for him to be going. The thing with McLaurin, though, man, is just you look at Fitzpatrick's number one receiver over the years. The floor has been almost 130 targets. So with Curtis Samuel, being a little bit banged up, and who knows if he's even going to be out there for week one. Diami Brown, Adam Humphries, these guys are fine, but make no mistake about it, McLaurin is the alpha in Washington. He gets a quarterback upgrade, and he's probably getting a likely target upgrade. So, McLaurin, Cooper, Lamb, Allen Robinson, like the answer to all these guys is yes, which is why we're taking, I was seeing if Kittle or Waller was there, I would have taken one of them there. But otherwise, hey, we'll just take great wide receivers. So I respect all you RotoViz guys, but let's get one anchor and then we'll do your stick. That's all.
That's right. And I don't tell anyone this, and luckily this is recorded, but I can edit if I need to. But I have been doing more anchor RB lately just because I think that the strength of that approach is so strong. I think it really does kind of give you a chance to, honestly, I think it gives you a chance to kind of provide yourself a little bit safer before, certainly, with that one anchor running back. And then I think it also kind of gives you a chance to get some of these other wide receivers who maybe I like in the same round that I would start pursuing, like that first or second running back if I was doing a true zero RB build. Now I don't have to necessarily worry about that because I view that a team like an anchor RB, in this case Derrick Henry, but any of those top five guys who you mentioned, they're going to hopefully be good enough for you that the running back position is in all likelihood covered, assuming that your guy doesn't get injured. And I'm going with anchor RB. Wide receivers you got. We are on the clock here. Julio, Ayuk, Thielen, Judy, Jamar.
Deontay's already gone? Good job, people.
Yeah, Deontay is gone.
Okay, I want Julio Jones. I love when I get him in the fifth, but fourth will do. I'm honestly surprised Ayuk continues to go as high as he does, man. He's a great player. What makes us think he is, what is that, 22 spots in ADP
Yeah.
better than Debo? Like, that's all it is. I just have both those guys ranked closer a little bit, further down. So because of that, far more Debo than Ayuk. I understand Ayuk is the more pure number one receiver. Crazy stat I found the other day.
Mhm.
Debo Samuel, minimum 25 targets, the only wide receiver over the past 10 years to have more yards after the catch than actual receiving yards.
Really?
Season. They're giving him those pop
Wow.
passes and like just behind. He has like the route tree of like a running back. I'm not even saying
Hmm.
he can't be used downfield. It's effective what they're doing. Why
Yeah.
why stop it? So I think Ayuk's just going a little bit high there. So I'm happy to get Julio Jones there at 4-7. I guess we're getting, I didn't think about having Henry and Julio on the same squad till now, but I'm cool
Hey,
with it. Not
you got a
something I'm
stat.
gonna. Yeah, it's best player. Maybe as a tiebreaker, but I thought Julio right there was the best option.
Yeah, yeah, no, I like Julio a lot. I'm hoping that he can bring a little bit more life to this Titans passing game. Certainly, we hope that's going to be the
Yeah.
case, given that he is indeed Julio Jones, and he should also be drawing some decent coverage off of AJ Brown. So the big thing with Julio is always his health. I think to your point about Ayuk, I think that's kind of the big point with Debo Samuel. I think people are more prone to fade Samuel because of a bad injury plague season last season. I know that that's somewhat of a valid argument to fade players, but if I remember correctly, I don't think he missed the whole season, so it wasn't ever like a devastating injury, if I remember correctly. And Debo has been productive when he has been on the field, so I love buying that discount. I think, like you said, he also has a path to easy touches, not just in terms of like maybe getting the handoffs, but like you said, those little pop passes behind the line of scrimmage. If you're talking PPR or even half PPR, this is a place to go get him. So we are up again here. We going wide receiver? Do we need another running back? Do you want some
Yeah.
tight end?
Show me running back real quick, but I
Yeah.
highly doubt it. Yeah, screw that.
All right. Let's go
Okay.
back to receiver.
Let's get the wide receiver 19 before he got injured last year, and now everyone's writing him off as a nobody. Mr. OBJ. Sign
Let's
me up.
go. Tell us
Look
about
at
OBJ
that.
and why you like him right now, because I love it, Ian, because you're drafting a bunch of players I'm not drafting right now. So you're opening my mind. There's still time for me to write my course on all the areas I've gone wrong. So tell me why I'm wrong for not drafting Odell Beckham Jr. right now. He was injured, like you said, but wide receiver 19 before that.
That's
Give
a
me
much
the OBJ pitch.
that's a much nicer way of being like, what the hell are you doing, man? Like I would not have made any of these picks that you
No,
just did.
no, no, no,
I know.
not at all.
With OBJ, like here's my thing. He is now being drafted at his floor, and I might have taken him. It's always a
Mhm.
battle. One of the things I say is don't get too cute early, and I think I might have just done that a little bit. But wide receivers fly off the board so fast
He
these
probably would not
days.
have come back to us. So
That's what I'm
it's
saying.
not
So
too cute.
hey, he's my wide receiver 21, man. Like I said, last year he was the wide receiver 19. The year before he was wide receiver 25. I get it. He hasn't been the same guy with the Giants, but
Mhm.
when he's in his first year in Cleveland, he was going as a top 5 receiver. Last year, even after that down year, he was still a wide receiver 12 in ADP. Right now, on at least Fantasy Football Calculator, I'm not sure what he is on Underdog these days, but
Mhm.
he's has been, or at least for most of summer, going close to wide receiver 30 range. I think 27
Yeah.
is usually the spot I see him at, but this is just the definition of being able to grab someone closer to his floor than his ceiling. This is the first time ever that's even been possible to draft OBJ as your wide receiver 4.
Yeah.
And everything about this Browns offense looks like it's going up, man. Second year with Stefanski, like the whole idea that Beckham makes this Browns offense worse is one of the laziest takes, I think, of the entire offseason. So the best stat I came up with just to show it's ridiculous is, hey, Baker Mayfield averages 0.6 more yards per attempt without Beckham. Patrick Mahomes, this is a fact, averages
Mhm.
0.6 more yards per attempt without Tyreek Hill. So are the Chiefs better without Tyreek Hill? Of course not. So quit making this dumbass argument with Beckham and Baker. Why did Baker get better as the season went on? Because he got more used to playing with his third freaking offensive coordinator in 3 years in an offseason where he had no preseason games and everything was going wrong with COVID. So look,
Yeah.
Baker, I mean, it's a bet on Baker being the best version of himself and
Mhm.
Beckham being somewhere in between the guy we saw in New York and Cleveland. Even if he can be the guy he was last year with the better version of Baker, man, he's sure as hell smashing that wide receiver 27 ADP.
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure. And I think that that's probably what I've had a hard time coming around on, is just the idea that Baker Mayfield can be good enough to not just make Odell meet his ADP and be within that range where he's taken, but perhaps exceed it a little bit. I'm not sure where I'm at quite on that whole thing given that running game, but we are on the clock again here. I'm going to pull up running backs as well for you just so you can see a look at everything.
Yeah. Let me see tight ends real quick too.
Yeah,
probably not, but you could imagine.
Tight end. It's up here. It'd be Logan Thomas, which would be a little bit of a reach right now.
Yeah, I'm good on that. All right, Devontae Smith.
Devontae Smith. Let me get him there. The goal is to not time out here, Ian. I've had like 1 or 2 timeouts in every draft so far, I think, and you've been absolute fire right now. We've not timed out. We've gotten our guys. So very, very solid job so far. You're making my life easy. Devontae Smith is a wide receiver who, again, I've not been taking a lot of. I've actually been doing a lot of Quez Watkins. But I certainly like the prospects of Devontae Smith reuniting with Jalen Hurts in Philly, hopefully leading a more explosive passing attack than what we saw last season, which was just absolutely brutal. And I think that hopefully it doesn't come to this, because I do want to see Jalen Hurts be every bit as awesome as I'd like to think he could be in my mind. But even if it were to be a case of the Eagles opting to go with, grossly enough, Joe Flacco or perhaps even Gardner Minshew, which is a little bit more interesting, I think Devontae Smith could be a wide receiver who flourishes with any of these quarterbacks in Philly. And there's a good chance that we see all 3 of them. We might not even just see 2 of them. We might see all 3 depending on what happens here over the next couple of weeks. How high are you on Devontae Smith overall? Where do you see him fitting into this Eagles offense as the season gets a little bit closer?
Well, I mean, I would be kind of surprised if we see all 3 quarterbacks before, say, December. I mean, I think Hurts has a pretty long leash, and I think we should give him a chance here. I mean, I remember writing an article on Hurts and going through the offensive line injuries, and I had to rewrite the section 2 or 3 times, so I kept finding another injury I'd forgotten about. I mean, let alone they didn't have anyone to really throw the ball to. And guess what? For fantasy purposes, he still put up big numbers. The dude went over 300 yards twice. We couldn't say that about Josh Allen until his 3rd year in the league. So I know all the advanced stats are bad and everything, but hey, Deshaun Watson is not wearing green right now, and Jalen Hurts is that guy. And he finally got named the starting quarterback, which is one of the more ridiculous offseason storylines going. But yeah, man, I'll tell you what, that's one of my favorite stacks to go, because Hurts is also slipping in the ranks and going late round. So for me, Devontae, we're getting an undisputed number 1 wide receiver that sure as hell looks like one of the next great talents to come out of the college game. I mean, if we had some sort of evidence on film of his size being an issue, then maybe I'd ding him for it. But until that point, man, let's just reap the benefits. So
yeah. Now, real quick, we have 25 seconds here. Dak Prescott has fallen, which I think is just a tiny bit interesting, almost 10 picks. Would you be interested in getting him and trying to run him back with Gallup, or would you look at somewhere else?
Show me running back, wide receiver.
Yeah, I'm sorry if we're gonna. Got 11 seconds.
Put Sermon on right now.
All right, Sermon's on.
Yeah. Okay, we'll just ride with it.
We'll go with Trey Sermon here.
I can live with that. I've been a Mostert over Sermon guy, and now all of a sudden it takes 1 preseason game, and now everyone acts like they were on this lonely train with me the whole time. So,
exactly.
And I guess my point with the whole thing has been like, both guys are valued pretty well. I'm sure Mostert went, round 6 or something like that. That's a fair enough spot for him there. So where'd he go?
Trying to see here. I got their color coded green.
Did I miss him? Wait, no.
You couldn't have missed him, I don't think. Here you go. Same round. Round 7.
There we go.
Yeah, so close.
He's a previous running back. It's perfect. So I think the answer to Sermon or Mostert could very well be both. I mean, if there really is a backfield that could enable 2 high-end running backs, I mean, it really could be the San Francisco 49ers. So I'm a Columbus, Ohio guy, man. I love Trey Sermon and everything. I guess my issue throughout the summer was seeing on Underdog Fantasy like this same thing we were just talking about with Ayuk and Debo. Like, I have just had Mostert a few spots ahead of Sermon usually, and it was the opposite in best ball land. So I was just kind of happy to reap the rewards on that. If it's going to switch, okay, I'll take the cheaper guys. So it looks like we got Sermon, ADP 69. We got him almost a full 10 spots later. So I will take that value. Looking on that, we've only, I'll reach on Justin Jefferson 8 days of the week, Devontae. I mean, none of them have been egregious. I think we're taking the guys about where they should go. And every one of these guys, I think, has been, relatively underpriced to me. Now, it's all in the eye of the beholder. It's like the the draft grades that go out the next day. It's like, okay, you're looking at your draft board, you're looking at
Right.
how this team took and how it goes. So I guess we'll find out in December. But hey, I'm feeling good so far, man. Despite not taking a single player that you have ever cherished in fantasy.
No, not quite. I do have Justin Jefferson. I am taking Terry McLaurin. I think for me, if I remember correctly, and I'm trying to dig back now for a few months, but I believe at one point in time, the ADPs between McLaurin and Lamb were a little bit different. I could be wrong on that. But I've tend to get more Lamb now. Sometimes, if I can even swing it, I'll do a Lamb McLaurin if I feel like good enough about who I have on the board available to me at the end of the second round. And I think I can come back McLaurin in the third. I'll sometimes do that as well. So I do not hate Scary Terry. I think he's in for a big year here. I like him a lot. I'm just up the road in DC, so I'm required to support the football team. Here we are again on the clock. We got all positions pulled up. Who are we looking at here, Ian?
We are selecting Mr. Jalen Waddle because Jalen Waddle is probably like pretty much same exact thing I just said about Devontae Smith applies to Waddle's situation in Miami. I mean, it's one of these things where like I got my buddy John Daigle and I own a dynasty team today, and like we had to fight each other over our rookie draft with Waddle versus Rondale Moore and Terrace Marshall, and I was just like, why are would these guys even be a thing if we didn't watch them play a couple of glorified exhibitions over the past few weeks?
Right.
Like Waddle has fallen down ranks because some idiot beat writer let off a story in early August saying that he fell down hard in practice. Didn't leave. He got up and continued, but he made the point the last thing Waddle can use is an injury right now. And the guy's been going as like a wide receiver 4 for most of the summer. So to me, I mean, if you want to look at that last back half, the same reasons that people are looking at Gesicki saying like, oh, look at all those, targets he had in the back half with Tua and all that. Okay, let's look at Lynn Bowden, who is unfortunately on IR, but was their starting slot receiver, their short running back wide receiver hybrid, get the ball to, let him make big plays. 7.5 targets per game, man, with some rush attempts to boot. I'm not saying that's 1-for-1 with Jalen Waddle, but man, you use the number 6 overall pick on a guy. We can't assume rational coaching, but I'm going to take a mini leap of faith here and say they have a plan for how to use the dude. So Jalen Waddle is someone that I feel like pre-draft, a ton of smart people were willing to say, like, we were hearing Tyreek Hill comps. We were hearing better than Devontae Smith stuff. And to see him just have this huge discretion in, just ADP between him, Jamar Chase, and Devontae Smith, I don't see it.
Yeah. And like you said, to your point, glorified preseason games for the other two guys and not so much for Waddle just because of some bad reports. Now, I am very high on Terrace Marshall. He's a guy who, depending on what kind of build I'm doing, I'll almost reach a full round on ADP or close to it just to make sure I get him. But I do think Waddle is a guy who I am drafting. Ian, you'll be happy to know I am taking Jalen Waddle for a lot of the same reasons you are. I think that there's a lot of positives to point to in terms of him being reunited with Tua in this offense, with I think a lot more targets available than maybe we're given credit for. 20 seconds ago, where are we leading? Not Michael Thomas.
I kind of want to go Hurts, even though I have Brady ranked higher. I don't right next to each other. Give me Jalen Hurts. Give me Jalen Hurts for the stack.
Yeah. I was going to say, we can do that here. He might not make it back either.
That's okay. I'm okay with that. Don't be a ranking slave. I would just say use stacks, use bye weeks, use schedule. Use those things as a tiebreaker. If you love two guys, they're next to each other, great. Then we can do that. Don't stack, don't do these things if it's the difference between taking someone you like significantly think is better. So if it was like, Hurts versus like Stafford, and I actually have like a more of a bigger ranking difference between the guy, like, no, then I'm not really using that.
Yeah. And cool, I think that Hurts is, fine here. He's got that Konami code upside. Obviously, if we get the stack with him as well with Devonta Smith, is there even a possibility if we really wanted to get, bold on here, if we could even triple down with Dallas Goedert in this coming round or the following round? Just an option. We don't even have a tight end yet. You're completely out on Goedert?
Yeah, man. As long as Ertz is there, which he is, I'm with everyone. I wished Ertz was gone, but the second he wasn't, it's like we got to be realistic about this dude now. It's unfortunate. Goddard and Irv Smith, best tight end twos in the league here for like 2-3 years running, at least in Goddard's case. So it sucks, but no, I'm not drafting him there. If anything, I hope Noah Fant keeps falling a little bit, because after that we are officially playing late round tight end roulette. It seldom ends well. So I would say if we don't get Fant here the next round, I would look to maybe reach by a round on Gerald Everett eventually, because he's that kind of last ditch guy. It's funny, man. This time last month there was Adam Troutman, Anthony Ferkser, and all these great looking options there. Oh, screw you, Shimmy Cocoa Pop. But yeah,
I was gonna say I couldn't come up with that name that quickly. Good on you for hitting that one. So we did just lose Fant. I know that he was essentially going to be a top pick here for this round. Where are we going? We got 5 picks. We got 4 picks until we're out.
Show me running back, wide receiver. We probably got to start taking.
Yeah. Let me get out tight end here.
More running backs. Probably.
A lot of these backs are actually falling a little bit here.
Yeah, I still don't see it with Michael Carter. I'm sorry.
I'm prefer Tevin Coleman later. I'll just take my shot on that if I need to.
Absolutely. People are just acting like Tevin Coleman's the worst running back to ever grace the planet. He's gotten like severely hurt within 40 snaps in each of the past 2 seasons. Like, chill, people. Like, football has existed for longer than 2 years, and it's not even like he was that horrible, at least in 2019. So I would say okay, I actually want Kenyon Drake here.
Kenyon Drake. We got him.
Yeah. I mean, look,
another guy who I am taking.
Highest paid number 2 running back in the league, pretty much. And like, I think there's a non-zero chance he could be the more productive guy between him and Jacobs if he just ends up, I didn't see if Richard continued to make the team, but like, if they just say,
out with a foot injury, so possibly not on the week 1 lineup at least.
It's not the biggest deal either way. I mean, he was like really involved his first 2 years. Okay, he is on the 53, so we'll see. But then he might end up going on short-term IR, the person was saying.
Right.
So not so much last year. Last year was more Jacobs, Booker, big step down to Richard. So hopefully that persists, and then Drake and Jacobs should both be relatively fine. The year before was when Richard was a little bit more involved week to week with Washington in there as well. So yeah, Drake seemingly will have the friendly pass game stuff. Like, I don't even think he's necessarily a better receiver than Josh Jacobs. Like, that's the messed up thing here. I love the way Josh Jacobs play, man. After his rookie year, I really thought he had an argument as like a top 5 back with the ball in his hands and things he was able to do there. They throw him the ball and good things happen. But every single thing we've heard from Las Vegas is that Drake is going to be their pass down guy, and it sure sounds like he's positioned for a big role. So yeah, when I go, and this, I'd say it qualifies as anchor. We got Sermon like round 7. So when I'm trying to do that, I'm trying to take these flex with benefits guys all day long. I'm hoping another one that I have right next to Drake, one Mr. Jamal Williams, falls another couple spots to us, because I think he fits that same exact mold. Even James Conner to a slightly lesser extent, I think.
Yeah. Kenyon Drake, just to touch on your point with his receiving and him being also the highest paid RB2 in the league right now. Part of my reason for liking Drake, and this is not nuanced, this is not super advanced, but hopefully you can at least appreciate the logic, is that John Gruden is probably not someone who enjoys being scrutinized for some of his decisions, and I can foresee a scenario where part of proving that Kenyon Drake was a good signing and a smart signing is using him in ways that maybe it's not even makes sense sometimes. It's just using him in a way to prove the haters wrong, that Kenyon Drake was well worth the, I believe, $11 million over the last 2 years that we're giving him. We just lost Williams. Devastated to see that here. Pain. Who are we going to next? This person might be in the draft listing, so we may need to watch ourselves here.
Shut the hell up. Can you send me tight end real quick?
Yeah.
Jeez. No, we're not taking Goddard.
We don't need to.
All right. Give me Connor.
James Conner. All right.
Yuck.
That's okay. We'll take it.
Hey, man, like, I don't put as much stock in like goal line carries as other people. With that said, Chase Edmonds having Zero. I
one.
think he has one. I think he has one career
Yeah.
goal line carry, and Eckler only having one or two last year. Sometimes it is extreme enough. Normally, look, I think the running back that's on the field just stays on the field when they enter inside the 5-yard line. Maybe if there's like a random timeout or something, then they change. But it's not. It's legal these days to score a touchdown from outside of 5 yards, so it's not something huge. With Connor,
recently
though,
passed this past year. It became legalized.
Exactly. Connor, like, it was funny when I was looking up these stats because he strikes you as a pretty solid, short yardage back, 230 pounds and all that. No, man, he's like literally one of the best. I mean, I was looking it up again when I was doing this article. Since he entered the league in 2017, among 38 backs, he is first in PFF rushing grade inside the 5-yard line, fourth in touchdown conversion rate, and first in first down or touchdown rate.
Wow.
So Connor has excelled with that. His running back coach in Arizona was his running back coach with the Steelers. Like, they don't – with Kenyon Drake, the reason why a lot of people, including myself, were fairly high on him going into the year was because they had that transition tag, which was worth like $8 million or something. And hey, it was like, other than Chase Edmonds, it wasn't much. I think Connor's making like barely over $1 million. So that's why Edmonds should be going ahead. With that said, like, it really shouldn't shock anyone if we see almost a true – what we saw last year with Drake and Edmonds, more or less, except now Kenyon Drake isn't, James Conner isn't the first or second round pick that Drake was. We just got him in the 11th. So
that's right. And it's interesting too. That's a really good stat that you pulled about just where he ranked. You said that was since he entered the league, correct? In terms of those Pro Football Focus numbers. I mean, that's tremendous. Like, it's not only did the Cardinals find that running back to replace Drake to perhaps keep Edmonds off the goal line touches, but they also found the best one. And again, like you said, one familiar with the coaching staff. That's actually a really, really awesome pool there. I appreciate you sharing that. That sounds like a behind the scenes look there. So thank you for dropping that in.
I got way too much time on my hands.
No, that was very solid. I've been taking some Connor. Not a player who I'm going to be too overweight on, but a guy who I'm more than willing to take, hopefully, for at least some touchdown upside. I mean, if he finds the end zone twice on any given week, that might be alone to get you there, even if it's on 2 yards rushing. So a little bit of James Conner. Hopefully he sees a little bit more work than the 2 yards, 2 touchdowns per game. But where are we going with this next pick here? We are currently on the clock.
Okay, we're taking our last running back, Alexander Mattison. I've been getting a lot of him. It's just a lottery ticket saying, hey, if Dalvin Cook, anything happens to him. It's funny, man. Like, people are literally not drafting Kirk Cousins because he's not vaccinated. Like, from what I saw, Dalvin Cook isn't vaccinated either. Like, there was a report. I think it was the Real Good Vikings guy. Like, it's not confirmed, but at one point he tweeted, like, Kirk Cousins, Dalvin Cook, and like 2 other guys are wearing masks, which is a sign that they are either not vaccinated or like they've only gotten 1 shot maybe. So I guess my point is, like, with the whole vaccination thing, it's obviously, if it can be a tiebreaker if we're perfectly sure about 2 guys' status. The way it's going right now, it's like Kirk Cousins and Cole Beasley are dropping because of it. And like, that's pretty much it at this point. Maybe I'm forgetting a guy or 2. I just think it's one of these variables where we're really just not counting it for everyone. It's the same thing with, saying Joe Mixon and Chris Carson are going to get hurt, and, McCaffrey and Dalvin Cook aren't. Same, how are Mixon and Najee and Saquon going to do anything in a bad offense behind a bad offensive line? Not like James Robinson wasn't just in an even worse situation last year and overcame it with what they're all going to have. Extreme volumes. So I would just say with all these things, again, just make sure you're applying them to everyone, and you'll probably make better decisions because of it.
Yeah, that's actually a very good point, and one that I'm with you. I think it gets ignored an awful lot is the James Robinson narrative for the other running backs in these bad offenses. Like, that's exactly right. And this is a team, in the case of the Jaguars, they're just the number 1 overall pick. So if we're worried about bad teams and bad offenses not being able to produce good running back production, like, we just watched a team that secured the 101 have one of the most fun stories of the 2020 season. So that's a narrative that I agree. I think it has gone widely ignored in some cases. I think sometimes it's also tied to players who are a little bit frustrating to have rostered. Now, Najee Harris doesn't qualify because he's a rookie, but I think for the Joe Mixon case, I think it's kind of that blend of not only has he frustrated us, but he is also on an offense that may not be as explosive and on a team that may not be that good. But
I wanted Shepard there. Show me tight end.
Yep.
Show me just tight end.
Yep. Couple guys.
Did Everett go? Fuck me.
Everett.
Yeah, he for
Yeah,
sure went.
he
Okay,
definitely
scroll
went.
up. All right. Give me Cole Kmet.
Cool commit.
We're reaching by a little bit, I think, but we gotta get a tight end at
10,
some point.
10 picks. Maybe he doesn't make it back to us. So fine. I mean, Gerald Everett should have made it back to us, right? So he did not. So
Yeah, Everett
we'll go ahead
must
and get
be.
Kmet.
Nah, that's on me. Should have been monitoring the old Jared Everett one a little more. I will say though, when I get to these situations, I want Everett ideally first. Kmet, Austin Hooper, and Blake Jarwin. Those are like the four guys I've kind of settled on at this point.
He went. I don't know where he went. He went super early though. I'm trying to scroll.
Jeez. Keep going.
Unless I've missed him, which I very well could have, but
he went like in round 2.
Yeah, we'll have to search that one later on because I can't believe we actually did lose him there. But I'm not seeing him where I probably would have expected to see him, and I wouldn't even expected to see him go here. So he went ahead of Jonnu Smith, which is probably not normal. He looks like he went ahead of Madison. Like that's.
Sheesh.
We're with his relative in the draft. I think that's probably why that happened.
Get the wide receivers up. I wanted Sterling. We've gotten sniped a few times. I wanted Sterling Shepard there, but
we
didn't quite work out.
I'm gonna put up quarterback real quick here.
Yeah, keep running back off. I'm done with running back.
Yeah, let me. Yeah. This is the way I have to do it. All right. Yeah. Baker's available, which would be a Odell stack if we wanted to do that. Yeah. That would be within ADP.
I like that call. I'm not too. I like to use the ADP as a gauge, like you said. I mean, 10 picks. I'm not sweating that in round 13. That's whatever. Go get your guy. It's more so early on, man, because like I remember a lot early. I've had Deontay Johnson as a top 16 receiver all offseason. I remember seeing him sometimes there in like round 4, and it's like he's my top ranked guy left, but I'm pretty freaking sure he's going to be here in round 5, even round 6, and some of the more fishy ones. So,
yeah,
2 already went.
Yeah, I'm
done. Whoa, quarterbacks are getting weird here.
I was just going to say this whole draft to some degree is going off the rails a little bit. We still don't know where the hell Gerald Everett went. He either went missing or a phantom drafter scooped him up. I'm not quite sure. But yeah, it's getting a little weird out in these best ball streets. Someone did ask to see the screen. I'll pull it up here after we make this picture, so maybe we can diagnose what the hell we're looking at. But
I'm feeling good about what you were saying, Baker here, man. Like,
now, do you like Baker more than Cousins? Because we do have Jefferson as well.
I do like Baker more than Cousins. I've been going Cousins if I get one of Trey Lance or Fields just because of his first 7 games. In terms of Cousins versus Baker, though, I just think Baker, has the higher ceiling between the pairs. So I'm more confident in the Browns really potentially not, threatening for the league lead in pass attempts or anything, but I could see Cleveland opening it up more so than Minnesota. So we'll see. Yeah. And then, I mean, we do have both stacks available, but yeah, give me Baker.
Yep. We got Baker here.
I think people are still just holding that like 2019 bust against Baker. I was looking at his ADP. He was the QB4 going into 2019. And the next year he was like QB 22, 23. And he's finally kind of climbed up into, QB 16, 17 range. But before that, he was like outside the 20 for a large portion of the summer. So I think Baker's just one of those guys where, people just remember being burned by him and they're like, I'm not going down this ride again. Same thing with Joe Mixon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Same thing with Mixon. It sucks to be burnt by him. He also did not have as solid of a season as his points per game in this case indicate. He was really buoyed. I remember Mixon in particular by a ginormous week against the Jaguars. I think week 4 or 5. But there's no reason to completely be off of Joe Mixon. So, and I don't think there's any reason to be off Baker Mayfield either. I think that he certainly has the potential to ball out when called upon. And I think that he has plenty of wide receiver talent around him to still make this happen. I'm also kind of high on Austin Hooper at his ADP. I'm not sure if you're an Austin Hooper guy, but he is he is pretty well free in drafts. And he was just signed to a big contract last season. Definitely kind of underperformed his contract, but supposedly there's some hope that he will return to some of that old glory last year. So Austin Hooper is a guy who I like. I think the Browns are one of those teams that qualifies as one of the cheaper stacks that you can acquire, and you can build a lot of cases for upside and Baker and some of those receiving targets. So maybe a guy to consider later on down the line here. But I'm liking how this team is shaping up overall. When it comes to this build and the overall construction, would you probably be good with 2 quarterbacks? Can we pull quarterback off the board for the rest of the draft? Or do we need that third guy just in case?
No, I think we're good. We got 2 of my top 14 guys.
Okay.
We're good.
We're gonna go ahead and do that.
With Hooper, man, he's right there with I want, again, him and Kmet after Everett are my top 2 guys because even if they, Kmet still has Jimmy Graham there, Hooper still has Bryant and Njoku there. Even though they have those guys, at least Kmet and Hooper are every down players in their offense. I mean, Austin Hooper last year, just in those, in the first playoff game, he was at 90% snaps. Second one might have been a little banged up. He was down to 63%. That 63% snap rate was his lowest all season long. So did we get something? No, he's down there. You think we can wait one more round?
We're up now. Who did you want to wait for? On Hooper? I think we could wait one more round.
Okay.
It'll be close, but we'll see. Or do we take him because the ADP justifies it?
Yeah, just take him. If there was – I was looking at the wide receivers. If one of the wide receivers really stood out to me, yeah, go ahead and take him.
Yeah, there's enough wide receivers here that I still like for later on in the draft that I'm not against getting our guy now.
Cool.
One guy who I just want to ask you about, because the way I'm looking at this team, and I could be way off here, and you tell me if I am, but this could be a potential 3 tight end build. We've already got 2 in the books, and just curious to know, the Irv Smith plummet is very real, and I know he's injured, and I know he's having surgery. But is this a spot where we consider taking Irv Smith, knowing that we have 2 other tight ends we might like if we like Irv Smith, which I personally did pre-injury? It doesn't matter now, just so you know. They just got taken.
Well, Chris Herndon can't catch every touchdown.
He can't.
This offense, so.
He can't.
No, I think Irv Smith's fine there. I actually did a tight end premium draft with my guy Dwayne McFarland last night. We got Irv Smith on a big injury discount. And Dwayne, man, like I swear, this guy's just doing one high stakes draft after another. So his just roster construction, draft strategy, like he is on top of that. Like he's as good with that as I feel talking about just kind of guys from a pure player perspective. So it's great to draft with them. And one thing he said, which makes a lot of sense to me, is like he buys a short-term injury discount because like when news comes out like this, people just basically panic and let the guy plummet down the board. It gets adjusted, relatively quickly, but if you can take advantage in those first 24, 48 hours, man, as long as we're not dealing with a, non-contact injury, this guy was stretchered off practice. Like use your brain a little bit there, but something like Irv where it's, to my understanding, it's going to be a 4 to 6 week thing. Did he land on the PUP to start?
I did not see the news on that. I can check and see here real quick. We're up in a second. Irv Smith, he to have nerve surgery. I'm not seeing anything about him being on the PUP, but that doesn't mean he's not. I guess if he's not there now, that's going to be news that comes down the next day or so, just as they look to finish getting their rosters figured out.
It's unresolved. They could make so I guess they still can.
We are on the clock again.
Shit.
Yeah, I think they will later on.
Give me you like your Quez? Do you really believe in Quez Watkins?
I think he has a chance to be a decent producer from week to week. Occasionally.
Go for it. Let's go for Quez. I'll take one of your guys here.
Yeah. Quez. Shout out to Cody Carpentier, Roto Underworld, got me on Quez Watkins. Between his speed, between his preseason, between training camp, which we don't want to invest too much in that, but he's also now working with the starters. They're saying he may be the starting slot receiver at this point in time. I believe
gone.
What's that?
They waived Fulgham and he already beat Greg Ward, so he is.
Oh, I didn't realize they waived Fulgham. That's news to me. This is why we bring you on.
They kept Ortega-Whiteside and not Fulgham. Like talk about
insane.
What's that called? That's sunk cost fallacy, like to a fucking T. So
yeah,
good freaking job, guys.
Honestly,
I was looking. If I didn't have Hurts, I think I would have taken Josh Palmer, and I wanted to throw one of your guys a bone. But Watkins, again, with that Fulgham news, to me, that is great because now we know he should be in 3 wide receiver sets. So stacking at least, a starting receiver here in round 16 that we're in, I'm cool with that. In that first game too, man, I know he took, I think it was the screen like 80 yards to the house. He was wide open for a 98-yard touchdown that I believe Hurts missed him on by about a foot. So
Oh, wow.
could have been even bigger. And I'm not, we don't need to. It's the first team snap stuff is so much more important than what anyone does in the preseason. But he's got that going for him. So hey, best of both worlds for me. It's like, no, we're not taking a. I got a DM today, and someone's like, I got in the late tight end waters, like not looking good. Should I roll the dice with Jesper Horsted? And I was like, no. Absolutely not. I can't believe you even thought of that. But
yeah, no. Is this a 47-round draft that you're?
Yeah, right. He was like, Hooper Horsted. I was like, no, man, come on. I appreciate anyone that scores 3 tutties in one game, but
I'll be honest. Horsted, correct me if I'm wrong. Bears?
Yeah, bro. He just had 3 touchdowns in their final preseason game. He had the one where Fields threw that dot off balance. He had a relatively more easy one, and then he had a one-handed snag, and he freaking outran a couple guys for like.
I do not know how. I don't know how I missed this. I think I may have been preoccupied. I did not catch up on my football highlights.
It was funny, man.
I'll be checking it out.
I was tweeting. I have a problem because I was rewatching the Bears. Who even was it? I was rewatching the Bears Titans game, and Horsted went nuts. But there was a point. Oh yeah, it was Batson. Usually I might have the sound on, but I'm not going to say I lock. I do rewatch. All right, here we go, real quick.
Yeah.
Jarwin.
Let's do it.
I do rewatch every game. I can't tell you how the right guard did every time. I'm not locked into all 22 players for every play, but I'm looking for things that, the Quez Watkins deep ball that he missed, like stuff. I never want to say like someone had a bad game because they had like 20 yards when if you watch the game, like every team's fan do, you find out the beyond the box score shit. But basically, I'm watching it and I see like Logan Woodside or Matt Barkley throw a touchdown, and I just see like the number and I was like, oh, I think that's Cameron Batson, and it was. And I was like, how the hell did I just name Cameron freaking Batson like at the side of my eyes? So maybe got to up the old sunlight. Hey, that's what California here is going to be for. So
that's right. I mean, yeah, that's awesome. That's tremendous recall on your end. First of all, knowing a Cameron Batson when you see one. So good. Good work on that. I would not know Cameron Batson if I saw one out there. So
years of preseason grinding for you.
Yeah, I look forward to the preseason grind to come in the near future. Now that I've gotten a little bit deeper into these weeds recently with podcasts and doing these live streams, I feel a sense of obligation to become a little bit deeper into it. So the growth will only continue from here. But Cameron Batson, I was happy to at least know the name, or Horsted. At least I knew the name and the team that he was on. So, but no, do not take him. Do not take him in your drafts this year. I think he'll be okay. Keep in mind he's probably at best case scenario the tight end 3 on the Chicago Bears.
I think Jimmy Graham is their starting slot receiver though at this point. He's one of those guys last year. He's one of those guys last year where like I think it was 65 or 70% of his targets came when he was in the slot or out wide, and they just cut. Or they waived Daz Newsome, who I thought might get it from the 6th round. But they have Allen Robinson, Darnell Mooney, and Marquise Goodwin. Maybe they just put Goodwin on the outside, and I guess that's probably the more likely scenario, I guess. And that means more slot for Mooney and A-Rob, which is exciting.
But yeah, do you think Jimmy Graham could be a usable tight end by any chance?
No, not in fantasy. He'll just he'll more annoy Cole Kmet than anything. And look, Jimmy Graham, like he does this, he's been doing this every year. Like he'll make 3 or 4 like insane like contested red zone catches, but he's just a shell of his former self. He's been playing forever, so he's got that no trade clause, so he's going nowhere, as we all know. But
I remember some people thought he was possibly going to retire after that loss, and the way he kind of like caught that
so funny
that meaningless touchdown pass, and he just walked off, and people were like, "If this is the way Jimmy Graham ends his career, what a way to end it with a meaningless touchdown catch and just to score and walk off the field like nothing happened."
Like, where the fuck did you go, Jimmy?
He left.
Oh,
okay. He was
done. At this point, give me Rashad Penny. I'm kind of surprised he's still.
This isn't Auden Tate territory.
Oh, I know, but look, I love my guys. It was funny last year, though. I gotta be realistic, man. When Tariq Cohen got hurt, Cordero Patterson was like literally popping up on some waiver wire articles, and people were asking me like, yeah, like let's go, it's time to get CPAT. And I was like, no, it's not. They're gonna treat him like a gadget. It's absolutely not the time for CPAT. I wish, but the only time I think I've like unironically like actually gone for CPAT in fantasy was like on like a Monday night showdown slate where it's like, you know, you can do any sort of roster combination there and just chalk it up to being contrarian or whatever. So I will say I'm cool with Penny there because I think he goes way earlier usually. I'm just surprised.
We got him about 26 spots after ADP.
If he had been gone, I would have looked at Dwayne Eskridge with the Seahawks. He actually, I believe that was his preseason debut last game, and he looked good, man. He's almost in that David Moore situation last year where he's, you know, I'm curious what the projections are. I guess, you know, like 400 yards, maybe 4 or 5 touchdowns. But if one thing happens to Lockett or Metcalf, all of a sudden we're looking at someone that's going to be shooting up the ranks. So I realize you can say that about a handful of guys, but most of the guys you can say that about are going, you know, not in round 18 or potentially undrafted like Eskridge is about to go. So he's another great pick at the bottom. But, you know, I love my guy Josh Norris over at Underdog Fantasy. I see him touting like a different 18th round pick every day, though. It's like, I mean, yeah, we can dig through this and find plenty of guys at this point. But
I believe it was Kadarius Toney, right?
At one point in time, one day, and then someone else the next day. So whatever. He's not wrong. It's just like there's a lot of these guys in the 18th. I think you can talk yourself into. All right, we got to name this, right?
We do have to name it. I had to refresh it real quick. Let's get our name in here. What are we calling this?
Just do Free Auden Tate. I wish I had something more quirky, but
it sticks to the brand, so I'm fine with that. Free Auden Tate here. Let's go over this roster real quick. We have a 2-6-7-3 build. We swore we were going to only take 5 running backs after a while. We went back and circled around for a 6 because of some awesome Rashad Penny value, which I did not at all disagree with. I think that's a really solid pick. When you can get those guys that fall late, he made the roster. Hopefully he has a chance to do something in Seattle in the coming weeks. We will find out soon. But our quarterbacks, we went with Jalen Hurts and Baker Mayfield. We then went Derrick Henry for a Hero RB build with Trey Sermon, Kenyon Drake, James Conner, Alexander Madison, and we just mentioned Rashad Penny. Wide receivers look pretty spicy here. We have Justin Jefferson, Terry McLaurin, Julio Jones, OBJ, Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle, Quez Watkins, and then we ran it back with the 3 tight end build in Cole Kmet, Austin Hooper, and Blake Jarwin. Didn't get Gerald Everett. I know someone sniped him from us. I kind of want to see if I can find that real quick here. But while I look for that, Ian, what did you think of our team overall? Let me see if I can find this here.
It went good. I give us a B+. Like I'm very happy with the 9-4.
9th round.
Yeah, like that was never gonna happen.
Yeah.
I go B+. Again, we got sniped a good 3 or 4 times, so it's not necessarily like the perfect roster from where we're going. But hey, man, I've always thought 106 is like a pretty tough spot to draft after because, you know, preferably I'd always like to get one of those top 3 spots. I think not having the 3rd round reversal and, you know, these sort of formats is a big thing to take advantage of. So for not having got one of the big 3 tight ends like I prefer, I'm happy. I'm happy, man. I think we have a path to a hell of a lot of upside here. It's looking like week 14 could be a little rough for the week 13 and 14 could be a little rough for the squad, but we'll hopefully we got enough wins by then. It won't matter.
Yeah, we'll weather the storm. We'll find a way to make it through. You know, these are last 2 weeks of bye weeks there, so we'll already be so far ahead of the rest of the field. It's a generous time for them to get a chance to catch up before we actually head into the playoffs and take the bag that is rightfully ours in the Best Ball Mania 2.
Exactly.
Ian, thank you so much for joining us tonight. It was a lot of fun talking with you, doing this draft. Real quick, let everyone know where they can find you, what you have coming up over the next couple of days as we get ready to draw on week 1 of the regular season.
At Ian Hartitz on Twitter, PFF.com, the PFF Fantasy Football Podcast. Episode out Wednesday is myself and Dwayne McFarland going over, you know, Mac Jones, Cam Newton, the big preseason week 3 notes, and just some other hot topics. Thursday, I'm actually about to interview him in 30 minutes, Dr. Edwin Porras from Fantasy Points. Hey, we're not doctors. This guy is. Let's find out what's the deal with these injured guys. And then Friday, I'm doing a pod with Dwayne and my guy Andrew Erickson. favorite pick in every single round of the draft. So if you guys, just go to my Twitter. I have my 10 tips for fantasy drafts, general draft strategy, ranks, breakdown backfields, pecking order. Pretty much 6-7 months of research and work has kind of led us to this moment and all that. So I'm excited, man. It'll be fun to get ahead to week 1, as great as it is doing all this off-season stuff. It does get to be a grind when no actual real football is being played, but it's all good, man. We're almost there, but appreciate you having me on. I love the 4for4 and RotoViz fam. Two of the real OGs, in my opinion, of the fantasy game. 4for4. I only wrote a couple articles for them. I ended up getting signed by Fantasy Labs shortly after I started, but my brief experience and when I met Josh John and TJ and stuff, just great guys all around. Always honored to just be associated with them. So good time, man. Hopefully we take this mania home.
Yeah, I'm ready to cash in. But for everyone else who watched Ian and I cash in tonight, thank you so much for joining us. I'm not 100% sure. This may be the last episode of Roster Lock before we get into the regular season. I got to see what the rest of my schedule looks like. But if it is, in fact, the last show, thank you, everyone, for joining us, not just tonight, but for all season long. Once again, be sure to subscribe to the RotoViz YouTube channel on the link below on the RotoViz homepage. And we will catch you all, if not next week, next season. But thanks again. Hope everyone has a great night.